Dolly, come get on your place. On your place. Come here. Sit. There you go. Now you look cute again. I am Mary Davies. I am the CEO and founder of Unleashed Academy. We raise and train service animals, and we send them all over the U.S., and they specialize in autism and psychiatric use. We also train obedience, and we do basically naughty dogs and get them to be obedient for their owner. And then we also do some other things as well, grooming and other types of classes. So we started about 5 years ago, and the need was very small because we were a new company. But once we got out there and got recognized, the need became very great. And so we now run an average of 60 dogs to 80 dogs sometimes in school at all times. We always have dogs in school. And how many have left here would probably be in the hundreds, several hundreds. I don't know an exact number off the top of my head, but I know it's in the hundreds, and it's amazing to hear their stories. They even send us pictures years later of what it's like and how it's changed their life. We had this one young man, he was 16, and his mother was a psychologist, or is a psychologist, and they got him a dog because he was having trouble with his autism, going out in public and going to school and socializing. He felt very different. So he got his dog, and instantly he became not necessarily a social butterfly, but he became more social. He enjoyed school. He took the dog for walks, and he instantly had a buddy. And this just changed his life forever. Now this young man can go to college. He can live a normal life just by the help of a living being that's going to be dedicated to him and show him love.
I'm Skylar. I am 22 years old. I've been working at Unleashed Academy for almost a year now. I am actually able to bring comfort into somebody's life. She's actually being trained for somebody with POTS. It's actually something where her blood flow isn't regulated, and she actually will just randomly pass out. And so Rue is trained to come over and do deep pressure therapy on her legs and regulate the blood flow to go back through her legs. So that's what she's being trained for right now. She's also trained for like bracing and deep pressure therapy and weighted blanket. So it's a very, 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 very important job for me and also the community.
So my name is Matthew Carroll. I've been doing dog training for a number of years, actually. I have a 6-year-old son who's actually very, very perfect for this. So whenever I pick him up from school and bring him home, he plays in the backyard with them. He's a puppy himself. So it's nice to be able to teach him how to behave around dogs, especially the little kids, because they get really excited. You know, they want to get up in their face and everything. So as much as it is training the dogs, it's also, you know, like training the kids and my son and whatnot and everything, and how to walk the dog properly, and, you know, how to gear him up properly. And no, it's great. I mean, honestly, I couldn't ask for a better helper than, you know, a little boy. You know, my 6-year-old son. He's great for this.
The impact these animals have on their eventual owners or their eventual families is amazing, life-changing. It brings us to tears when we when they finally meet and we see the difference almost immediately. So if a parent has had a child that struggles with expressing its emotion or speaking, and all of a sudden the child is now comforted in a way the parent just couldn't do, it's going to take all that stress off of the parent and make life so much easier. It brings peace to the household. It makes the household much quieter, allows people to sleep at night. We've had children that couldn't shower by themselves, and with the dog sitting there, they could. And so now mom is now free to go and just be herself for an hour.
I'm training a pup right now. Her name's Maxine. She's a Newfie Poo. She's being trained for a handler that has severe anxiety and outside in public. She actually hasn't been out in public in 5 years. Maxine might be that Band-Aid for in the beginning, just until they get that bond. A lot of clients don't realize that the bond is very, very important. So Maxine and her are going to have that bond in the beginning. It's going to be a Band-Aid, kind of. But once they have that bond, Maxine is going to be a lifetime of support for her. And actually be able to have her go out into public and things like that.
Whenever we get the clients, a lot of these clients will have certain triggers and everything. Maybe it's like finger picking or scratching on themselves and everything. So whenever we actually train for the deep pressure therapy, we'll train the dogs to look for that. So like even earlier, there was a client who engages in finger picking. And so I was training, Hotchner, basically to look for that sign, and then whenever he comes over, he'll basically put his head right in between my hands and prevent it right there and just, love me. And so, scratching, things like that. So a lot of the signs that we do are like this or like this and everything, because that's what a lot of the triggers are, especially if someone's having an episode. So we train the dogs to do that, and they'll basically come up and they interrupt it. It's called an episode interruption technique is what we do. So, and whenever they get in that state and then the dog comes up, it's hard to have, a bad time whenever the dog's sensing it. And they won't lay off until like you get a little bit better. You can tell them to go and everything, but as long as they know that something is there, they're gonna get the job done. They can sense it. It's amazing. It really is.
There's a lot of nonverbal kiddos out there that can't really express how they're feeling. And so, when the kid starts screaming or hitting their head or anything like that, the dog will come over, do deep pressure therapy, kind of nudge their hands away if they're hitting themselves or doing any self-harm, anything like that, just to kind of help the kid get out of that mindset of, not being able to express his feelings or anything like that.
I had one client that had a 6-year-old child that had never slept through the night for 6 years because of her ailment. Because of her medical condition, she had itching that had all night long, and it was tremendous. They got the dog and they worked with it to sleep with her, which takes a few days of acclimation. Once the dog slept with her, it was the first time the parents had slept through the night on their own in 6 years. And that's life-changing. Think about the times when you don't have sleep, how that impacts your entire day is foggy. And these people live like that for 6 years. We had another client that their life was impacted because she had a neurological disorder and she couldn't grasp things and she had trouble walking. So she used the dog as a lean-in, and then the dog was trained to pick up her shoes for her and actually grab the items and bring them to her, so she didn't have to experience helplessness anymore. And it frees her up and gives her life back. And so we have, what we do to specialize for each individual is we do a comprehensive interview with the individual and we find out exactly what's going to be needed. We do have a general list of tasks that we use to select from, but each of those tasks is very individualized depending on how the client has those symptoms. So not every tantrum that an autistic child has is going to need the exact same task to be done. Sometimes it has to be done quite differently.
I really do think that I impact a lot of people's lives and change lives more than I could have ever imagined. I used to be a social worker and a caregiver, but this does more than just that, in my opinion. I feel like these service dogs have an impactful, I can't even explain how much they impact lives, in my opinion. I don't know. For me, it's not just training the dogs and seeing them go to their owners. It's more like when you see the owner's face when they first see the service dog, it's already changing their life for the better.